Imagine for a moment, before time was even a thing, before light and dark were separate, there was a single line of code written into the very fabric of reality. Now this line, it doesn't just describe the first cycle of existence, oh no, it defines the operating system for everything that would ever come after. It tells the story of an evening that gives birth to a morning, a darkness that actually holds the seed of all light. You see, this isn't just a creation story. This is a blueprint for consciousness itself. Tonight, we're not just going to read the words, we are going deep inside the code.
Welcome, everyone, to this Deep Dive Explainer. I'm Host B, and I'm so glad to be here with my colleague, Host A. What we're going to do today is unpack one single incredible verse using a really powerful four-level method called Pardes. It's kind of like a journey, you know? We'll start with the simple surface meaning, the Pshat, and travel all the way down to its deepest, most hidden secret, the sod. So here's our roadmap. We'll kick things off with a puzzle, then explore the cosmic forces behind it, see how they come together, and finally, we'll reveal the secret of the one day, and, maybe most importantly, how you can use this cosmic blueprint in your own life.
All right, so let's start our journey at that first level, Pshat, the plain literal meaning. But here's the thing, with this verse, even the plain meaning is, well, anything but simple. It's really this carefully crafted puzzle, almost designed to make you stop in your tracks and ask some pretty big questions about how things really began. And here it is, Genesis chapter 1, verse 5. Vayihi erev vayihi boker Yom Echad. And there was evening and there was morning, one day. Now think about your day. It's the total opposite, right? Morning happens, then noon, then evening. Light fades into darkness. But right here at the very beginning, the Torah just flips the whole script. It says, darkness comes before light.
And this, right here, is where we find the keys that unlock everything. So, question 1. Why is the sequence backward? I mean, God's very first creative command was let there be light, so why does the recap of that day start with evening? And question 2 is just as important. Why does it say Yom Echad, which means one day, and not Yom Rishon, or the first day? This is no accident. It's a massive signal that we are not looking at step 1 in a sequence. We're being shown a single unified reality. This isn't about a timeline. It's about ultimate unity.
So for our first clue, we turn to the Zoar, the foundational text of Kabbalah, and it tells us so beautifully, Le'it yom bela leila v'le'it leila bela yom. There is no day without night, and there is no night without day. See, the Torah puts evening first to teach us something absolutely fundamental. These aren't two separate things. They're two parts of one single unified whole. They depend on each other. Darkness isn't just the absence of light. It's the potential for light.
Okay, so now we're going to level up to Remez. This is the world of hints, of illusions. And at this level, evening and morning suddenly become way more than just periods of time. They're actually code words for two massive, opposing, yet totally complementary spiritual forces. Forces that literally form the infrastructure of all existence. Think of them as the two great pillars that hold up reality itself.
So let's break this down. On the left side, we've got Erev, or evening. And this is not just about darkness. It's the cosmic force of Din, which you can think of as judgment or structure, containment. It's also connected to Chokmah, which is pure, raw wisdom, a light so powerful it actually seems like darkness to us. Mystically, this whole column is associated with the color red and what's called the female or receptive principle. Then on the other side, you have Bokir, morning. This is the force of Chesed, total, unbounded kindness, mercy, expansion. It's this endless river of giving, and it's associated with the color white and the male or expressive principle.
But here's the catch, and this is absolutely crucial. When they're just on their own, these two forces are in a constant state of war. The great Kabbalist Baal HaSulam explains it perfectly. He says the right column of pure kindness, without any of the focus and depth that comes from wisdom, is like a body with no head. And the left column of pure wisdom, without a vessel of kindness to carry and express it, well, it's just blinding darkness. On their own, each one wants to wipe the other out. And in that state of conflict, nothing can shine. Nothing can be created.
Now, if we look at a map of the Sephirot, the divine emanations, you can actually see the architecture of reality laid out. It's amazing. You can see the right side with its expansive forces like chesed or kindness, and you can see the left side with its restrictive forces like gevura, which is another word for den. But look closer. Look right down the center. There's a third option, a middle column, the column of rachamim, which means mercy or compassion. And that is not an accident. The system was designed with a solution built right in. The conflict isn't some cosmic mistake. It's a feature, pointing us toward a higher, more perfect balance.
And this brings us right to our third level, Drash. This is where we get into the real nitty-gritty. We're not just talking about what happens, but how it happens. How on earth is this cosmic war resolved? How are these two clashing columns brought into harmony so that something can actually exist? Well, the mystics give us an incredibly detailed, almost mechanical explanation for how this whole unification process works.
It's this brilliant three-step dance. And the most amazing part? It starts from down here, with us. The lower reality has to raise its intention, its desire. This is called raising main nukvin. Now that desire is what triggers the creation of this special spiritual filter, the Masak Decherek, or the screen of reconciliation. And this screen does two incredible things at once. It dims the raw, overwhelming light of wisdom from the left, and it draws down the flowing light of kindness from the right. By doing that, it literally forces them to integrate. The wisdom of the left gets clothed in the kindness of the right, which means we can actually receive it. And the kindness from the right gets all the depth and purpose of wisdom. The conflict is over, and a new, perfectly balanced light can shine.
You know, Kabbalah has this genius way of using the Hebrew vowel points as a visual for this whole thing. So look at the Chalam. It's a dot above the letter. That's the right column, where wisdom is kind of disconnected, just hovering over the vessel. Now look at the Shorok, a dot inside the letter. That's the left column. Wisdom is trapped in there. It can't get out and shine. But then you have the Chiruk, the dot below the letter. That's the middle column. That's the reconciling force that comes from below, the screen we were just talking about. It's that little dot underneath that lets the other two finally get together and work.
We have finally arrived at the fourth and deepest level, Sod, the secret. We've wrestled with the puzzle, we've met the cosmic forces, and we've seen the incredible mechanics that bring them together. So, what does it all really mean? What is the ultimate secret reality that this one little phrase, "and there was evening and there was morning, one day," is trying to show us?
Okay, to make this really land, let's step out of ancient cosmology for a sec and into a world we all understand, technology. I want you to think of all of existence as one single, unbelievably sophisticated, unified operating system. Not a bunch of separate apps, but one integrated system. And it has a single purpose, to process and express an infinite divine light.
In this system, darkness, or Erev, isn't a problem. It's not a bug, it's a core feature. It is the system's firewall. Its whole job, the force of Din, is to set boundaries, create containers, to process everything. Honestly, without this firewall, the infinite light would be like a massive denial of service attack. It would overload and crash the whole system. So darkness is the structure that makes it even possible to receive the light. And Boker, or Boker. That's the system's cloud API, its application programming interface. It's the force of Chesed, and it's designed to do one thing: flow. To bestow, to connect, to express all the infinite data and potential of the system. It's this non-stop stream of creative energy. But without the structure that the firewall provides, the API would just be a chaotic, meaningless flood of data.
So, you see the brilliant design here? What makes it all work? It's the source code. That's the middle line. That divine logic, that reconciling force we talked about, is the core programming that integrates the firewall and the API. It makes sure that the boundary-setting job of darkness and the expressive job of light work together in perfect dynamic harmony. The source code lets the firewall build a vessel that is perfectly designed for the data coming through the API.
And this brings us all the way back to the number 1, Echad. Yom Echad doesn't mean day number 1 in a list of 7. No, it means the unified day. It's the big reveal that these two processes, firewall and API, containment and expression, darkness and light, are not separate. They're not even sequential. They are two functions of one single, unified, continuously operating system. And that is the secret.
Okay, so we've gone from the cosmic all the way to the conceptual. But the most beautiful thing about this kind of wisdom is that it's not supposed to just stay in your head. This is a practical blueprint. It's a user manual for our own lives. The real question is, how do we take this cosmic code and actually run it on our own personal hardware?
Well, for anyone with a gamer mindset, you can think of your life as a video game. It's structured in levels. So level 1 is the night quest, the Arev phase. These are your challenges, your struggles, those moments you feel like you're in the dark. But this isn't a punishment. It's the game mechanic for leveling up your character, for building a bigger vessel. It's how you gather desire for what's next. Level 2 is the Dawn power-up, the Boker phase. Because you completed the quest, you now get the flow of energy, of insight, of kindness, that's Chesed, that you are finally big enough to handle. And level 3, the final boss, that's Yom Echad, unity. Real mastery isn't about skipping the night quests. It's realizing that the challenges of the night are exactly what give you the skill to use the power-ups of the day.
Now, for a more, let's say, engineering mindset, this completely reframes how we think about time. We usually see time as these separate little boxes, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. But this model says no, that's not it at all. Time is actually a continuous, unified field. Every single moment is a Yom Echad, a unified day that has both properties within it. In any given moment, there's this dynamic dance between Erev, the force of building your potential, and Boker, the force of expressing and fulfilling it. Your past, the vessel you've built, and your future, the light you can receive, are woven together in the fabric of right now.
And this just brilliantly explains why our spiritual practices are set up the way they are. The daily prayers are basically a technology that lets us actively take part in this cosmic engineering. The evening prayer, Ma'arif, creates what the Kabbalists call a back-to-back unification. It's a more indirect connection. It's about building the vessel. That's your night quest. Then after doing the spiritual work of the night, the morning prayer, Shachrit, achieves a much higher level, face-to-face unification. It draws down this incredible, revealed flow of chesed, of kindness, into the very vessel we prepared the night before. We are literally co-creators in this daily cycle.
So, what a journey. We've traveled through all 4 levels of Pardes. We've seen how one single verse just explodes into a complete model of reality, a system where opposition is actually the engine of creation and where darkness isn't an end, but a necessary and actually a beautiful beginning.
We're going to end where we began, with this foundational teaching from the Zohar. There is no day without night, and there is no night without day. It is the ultimate statement of interdependence. It means the light you are going to experience tomorrow is being forged in whatever darkness you're facing today. The joy is hidden inside the struggle. The revelation is being prepared by the concealment. They are not opposites you have to choose between. They're a single, unified process that we get to embrace. And this leaves us all with one final thought, a question to really take with you. All of us, at some point, are in a state of Erev, of evening, of challenge, of not knowing what's next. But if we can understand this system, we can completely reframe that experience. It's not a failure, it's not an absence of something. It is the active, sacred process of building a vessel. So the question we can ask ourselves is this: if darkness is the necessary vessel for light, what new, incredible light are my challenges preparing me to receive? Thank you for joining us for this complete journey through the Pardes. We hope these ancient truths help you and your family improve your own dimensions this week. If you enjoyed this full chapter deep dive, please like, subscribe, and share which part of the journey touched your soul in the comments. We'll see you in the next chapter.